It's not about where you start, but how you finish. The story of Caleb. Now, a lot of y'all know about Caleb. We talked about him before. He's one of the 12 spies that Moses sent to Canaan to scope it out before they actually invaded the land when they left Egypt. So Caleb was one of the two faithful spies, him and Joshua, who didn't come back with a negative report. And he was blessed because of his optimism, his positive outlook, and his faith in God and the Most High, instead of being so pessimistic that that believing that they couldn't do it when they knew that the Most High is with us, then we can do anything. But Caleb's story goes a little deeper than just that one incident that he had, and we're going to get into that. And I titled this not about where you start, but where you finish, because it's not necessarily about where Caleb started. It's about where his family lineage started from. And a lot of people may not have the best upbringing, may not have the best family structure, whether it's from their parents or grandparents, or even their great grandparents. Sometimes they may have been born in families who were not believing in the Bible, who did not believe in the Bible, believe in God. And maybe you were one of the people that the Most High has chosen to follow His commandments, or even just follow His word, just have a different spirit than the people that came before you. And this is the story of Caleb, because we're going to look at his lineage and where he comes from, and realize that he came from a family that did not have the same spirit that he has, and how the Most High has blessed him and his descendants after him because of his faithfulness. So it's not about where you start, but how you finish. So if you grew up in a family that didn't have the best start, that's okay, because the Most High has allowed you to be alive, so you can make a new start for yourself and for your children and for your family after you. So, like I said, it's not about where you start, but how you finish. So let's start off with Numbers chapter 13, verse 1. So this is the spies who are going out into the land. All right, so the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Send out men that may search the land of Canaan, and I give unto the children of Israel, of every tribe of their fathers shall you send a man, every one of a ruler among them. And Moses, by the commandment of the Lord, sent them into the wilderness of Paran. All those men were heads of the children of Israel. And so now they go one by one. There were the names of the tribe of Reuben: Shemua, the son of Zachor; the tribe of Simeon, Shaphat, the son of Hori; of the tribe of Judah, Caleb, the son of Jephunneh. So we see, this is the first time we hear about Caleb. Caleb is the son of Jephunneh. So hold on to that name. We're going to get back to that. So just remember that Caleb is from the tribe of Judah, who is the son of Jephunneh. So let's skip a little bit more. So verse 17, Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and he said unto them, Go ye up this way southward, and go up onto the mountain, and see the land, what it is, and the people that dwell therein, whether they be strong or weak, few or many, and what the land is that they dwell in, whether it be good or bad, and what cities they be that dwell in, whether in tents or in strongholds, and what the land is, whether it be fat or lean, whether they be wood therein or not, and be of good courage, and bring the fruit of the land. Now the time was the time of the first ripe grapes. And they went up and searched the land from the wilderness of Zin unto Rahab, as men came to Hamath. So Moses sent out a special operation unit in order to spy out the land, to investigate before they invaded. So let's skip going back 25, going down to 25. So the spies return to give a report. And they returned from searching the land after 40 days. They spent 40 days in Canaan. And they went and came to Moses and to Aaron and to the all congregation the children of Israel onto the wilderness of Paran to Kadesh, and brought back word unto them and unto all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him and said, We came unto the land whither thou sentest us, and surely it flowed with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and are very great. Moreover, we saw the children of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains. And the Canaanites dwell by the sea and by the coast of the Jordan. Verse 30, and Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. So Caleb already had that faith in him. He's like, we can do it. I know we can. Like, we can overcome them. They don't have a chance against us. Verse 31, but the men that went up with him said, we be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. So Caleb had faith, said we can do it, but the men that were around him, they say, no, we can't do it. They're stronger than we are. In verse 32, and they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof, and the people that we saw in are men of great stature. So they're saying that these men are really tall, they're really strong. Verse 3, and there we saw the giants, the son of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. So they're saying that we saw ourselves as small. So we can only imagine what they look at us like. We don't look like them. So I'm sure they look at us like we're small. We're small potatoes. So we're going to skip down. Now that's chapter 14. Verse 1, the people rebelled. All the congregation, they lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. They cried, and all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron, and the whole congregation said unto them, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God we had died in the wilderness? It's like, man, God should have just killed us in Egypt, or he should have just killed us in the wilderness. And it's like, wherefore has the Lord brought us into this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be prey? Or not better for us to return into Egypt? And they said one to another, let us make a captain, let us return into Egypt. So they're saying they'd rather go back to Egypt and be slaves. Remember, they were slaves in Egypt. They weren't prosperous. They're like, we'd rather be slaves in Egypt again. And at least we'll be alive. That sounds like Kanye saying, man, slavery sounds like a choice. Sound like a choice. Like they want to go back to being slaves. They don't want their own. They don't really want to be independent. They really want to just be safe. They're like, even if we slaves, at least we safe. Yeah, it might be beating us and treating us wrong, but hey, at least we alive. Because they had no faith. So,
That's how
unfortunately,
it was. That's how it was before the emancipation. I mean, after the emancipation, there were some slaves that wanted to go back.
slaves that wanted to go back, they wanted to stay on the plantation because they didn't have any. They were afraid to be on their own. They were afraid to what was going to happen to them. So they'd rather just stay where they were. Some people, not all. So let's keep going. Let's see what happens. So then Moses and Aaron, they fell on their faces before the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel. And Joshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, which were of them that searched the land, they rent their clothes. They tore their clothes, and they spake unto the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we passed through to search it is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, and he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land that flows with milk and honey, only rebel not ye against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense has parted from them, and the Lord is with us. Fear them not. So that's what they're saying. They're like, we already won the battle. We just have to just walk in it. It's already been given to us. It's already been prophesied. So don't fear the people, fear the Lord. That's who you should be fearing. Because like I said before in the previous time, fear is another way of worship. Whatever you fear, you're going to give that your most obeisance. You're going to be obedient to whoever you fear. So if you fear the people, you're going to be obedient to them. If you fear the Most High, you're going to be obedient to him. If you, let's say, when you fear your parents, you're going to be obedient to them. If you fear your friends, you're going to succumb to peer pressure. So, that fear is very powerful. That's why the Most High doesn't like us to fear anything but him, in regards to our spiritual adherence, because, he's the one that deserves that ultimate respect, So number four, chapter 14, verse 10.
Mhm.
But all the congregation, they made stones, they picked up stones to them to stone, and the glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle and the congregation before all the children of Israel. So right when they were about to stone Moses and Aaron, the Most High showed up. And let's go down to verse 20. And the Lord, so I skipped Moses. He was begging for pardon because the Most High said he's basically going to destroy all the Israelites and just leave Moses alive. But Moses said, please don't do that because you made a promise, and all the other nations won't realize, that you did all this stuff in Egypt and you couldn't bring them out, because you killed them in the wilderness. So it's like, all right. So the Most High said, the Lord said, I have pardoned according to your word, but as surely as I live, the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord, because all those men which have seen my glory in my miracles, which I did in Egypt in the wilderness, and have tempted me now these 10 times, have not hearkened unto my voice, surely they shall not see the land which I swear unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoked me see it. But my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with him and has followed me fully, him will I bring into the land, where until he went, and his seed shall possess it. Now the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwelt in the valley. Tomorrow turn you and get you into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. So the Most High showed favor towards Caleb because of his faith, because he didn't go up with the crowd, he went against the crowd. So that's going to reflect on him and also his seed. That's why it's like a lot of decisions that we make, they're not necessarily just about us, it's about the people that are coming after us, that are actually going to receive the blessing that our faith and our faithfulness did. We may see it in our lifetime, but our children are what's going to reap the benefits of our faith. All right, so let's keep going. Verse 26, and the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, how long shall I bear with this evil congregation, which murmur against me? I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel, and they murmur against me. Say unto them, as truly as I live, says the Lord, as ye have spoken in my ears, so will I do to you. Your carcasses shall fall in the wilderness, and all that were numbered of you, according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me. Doubtless you shall not come into the land concerning which I swear to make you dwell therein, save Caleb and the son of Jephunneh and Joshua the son of Nun. So the Most High said he's going to destroy all the people who are older than 20 years old. So they say y'all not going to enter. If you're 20 years and older, you're not making it to the land, except Joshua and Caleb. And so he's going to make it them go in the wilderness. They're going to dwell in the wilderness for 40 years until each person dies that was 20 years or older, because he was not playing. He says, y'all spent 40 days in Canaan searching the land. I mean, y'all spent 40 years in the wilderness. That's great. He don't mess around. So verse 31, he said, but your little ones, which you said should be a prey, them will I bring in, and they shall know the land which you have despised. But as for you, your carcasses, they shall fall in this wilderness, and your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years, and bear your whoredoms until your carcasses be wasted in the wilderness. After the number of the days in which you searched the land, even 40 days, each day for a year, shall you bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and you shall know my breach of promise. Man, most I don't play around when you break the promise. He said, like, I got a promise for you, break it, you won't suffer the consequences. Verse 35, I, the Lord, have said, I will surely do it unto all this evil congregation. They are gathered together against me in this wilderness, they shall be consumed, and where they shall die. And the men which Moses sent to search the land, who returned, made all the congregation to murmur against them by bringing up a slander onto the land. Even those men that did bring up evil report onto the land, they died by the plague before the Lord. So even the men, the spies that went into Canaan, they died first. They died by a plague. But verse 38, but Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, which were of the men that went to search the land, they lived still. So they were the only ones that didn't die from this plague. All right. So that's the story of Caleb. Let's go into a little bit more into after this situation, what happens afterwards. So this is Numbers chapter 32, verse 11. So this is just a repeat. Surely none of the men that came up out of Egypt from 20 years old and upward shall see the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, because they have not wholly followed me, save Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite. Hold on to that word Kenizzite. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And Joshua, the son of Nun, for they have wholly followed the Lord. And the Lord's anger was kindled against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years until all the generation had done evil in the sight of the Lord was consumed. Now, people may wonder, it's like, oh, 40, it was one for 40. I'm sure people just went off. People probably did go off. Like, they probably just like left the congregation. But there are stories, I didn't get into there, but some of the women, they just like, oh man, we don't believe that we can go into the land. And a lot of them, they went into the land, they got defeated, they got killed by the Amalekites and the Canaanites because the Lord wasn't with them. So they couldn't fight any of their enemies. So they all had to basically stay together and just wander in the wilderness for 40 years. All right, let's keep going. Now, going to the book of Joshua, chapter 14. So now, skipped in a lot. All right, so now the children of Judah came unto Joshua and Gilgal, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, said unto him, Thou knowest the thing the Lord said unto Moses, the man of God, concerning me and you and Kadesh Barnea. So he said, so Caleb is talking to Joshua about the time. He's like, you remember what the Most High told us, and when we came back from the land and we spied the land. Verse 7, 40 years old was I when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me to Kadesh Barnea to espy out of the land, and I brought him word against it, and it was in my heart. Nevertheless, my brethren that went up with me made the heart of the people melt, but I wholly followed the Lord my God. And Moses swore on that day, saying, Surely the land wherein your feet has trodden shall be your inheritance, and your children's forever, because that thou hast wholly followed the Lord my God. And now, behold, the Most High has kept me alive, as he said, these 45 years. So Caleb has been alive for 45 years since that day. And even since the Lord spake the word unto Moses, while the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness, and now, lo, I am this day 85 years old. Now we know a score is 20. So when it says 80, that's 4 times 20, that's 80. And then you add the 5. So he's 85 years old. Caleb is 85 years old when he's talking like this. Verse 11, and yet I am as strong this day as I was in the day that Moses sent me. As my strength was then, even so is my strength now for war, both to go out and to come in. So Caleb had that spirit in him, man. He actually, his name, everybody has a name in the Bible. The word means something. So Caleb really means dog. He's like, he got that dog in him, for real. Caleb was a warrior. He wasn't like, I'm 85 years old. I feel the same when I was 40. I'm ready to fight, man. He's like, I ain't got no fear in my heart. Verse 12, now therefore give me this mountain whereof the Lord spake in this day, for thou heardest in that day how the Anakims were there, and that the cities were great and fenced, and so be the Lord will be with me, then I shall be able to drive them out, as the Lord says. So Caleb, he wants to take on the Anakim. They were the big giants that the spies were afraid of. So he's taking on the most feared people, and he's 85 years old. And he ain't, that's what I'm saying. That's the faith that Caleb had. And he had that different type of spirit than other people. Verse 13, Joshua blessed him and gave unto Caleb the son of Jephunneh Hebron for an inheritance. And Hebron therefore became the inheritance of Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite on to this day, because that he wholly followed the Lord God of Israel. And this is Hebron. Hebron was a mountain in the city of Canaan, or one of the cities of Canaan that was in the territory of Judah. The significance of Hebron was that this was actually Abraham. He purchased this mountain or this land from the Canaanites when he lived there, and that's where he buried. I believe he buried Sarah, his wife, and also that's where he was buried. And then also King David, he was anointed the king when he became he took over the land after Saul. He was anointed at Hebron. So this had a very big significance in their history and also just in the territory of Judah. And this was the land of Caleb and his family. All right, so let's keep going. So I want to talk about Caleb's and his family lineage, because just reading about Caleb, you think like, man, Caleb is, he's a strong dude. He's a faithful man. He's probably always been like this, But let's go into a little bit his history, where he comes from. So they kept calling Caleb the son of Jephunneh. He's a Kenizzite. So what is that? What exactly is a Kenizzite? Let's see what that comes from. Let's see. First, he's the son of Jephunneh. So his father is called Jephunneh. And Jephunneh literally means to be, he will be facing. And actually, if you go into the origin of that word, break down the root of Jephunneh, it really means to turn. Jephunneh means to turn, or AKA to turn back. So his name means to turn. So what was Jephunneh turning from? What was he turning away from, I would say? Let's go into a little bit of Jephunneh, his history, because Jephunneh is called a Kenizzite. So what is that? Kenizzite or Kenizzites, descendant of Kenaz. So who is Kenaz? Well, we got to go into the genealogies. Let's look. The Kenaz means a hunter. He's the son of Eliphaz, the grandson of Esau, one of the dukes of Edom. So Esau, remember Esau is the twin brother of Jacob, who's the son of Isaac. And remember Esau, he didn't receive the blessing that Jacob received. He received a different blessing. And also he didn't have the same spirit that Jacob had. He had a different spirit. So Kenaz comes from Esau. He's the grandson of Esau. But for some reason, his son, Jephunneh, was counted among the Israelites rather than the Edomites. So let's go a little bit into that. Oh, no. So let's go. This is the genealogy of Esau. Genesis chapter 36, verse 9. These are the mountains of Esau, or these are the generation of Esau, the father of the Edomites at Mount Seir. And these are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau; Reuel, the son of Bashemath, the wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, and Gatam, and Kenaz. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of Edah, Esau's wife. So we see that Kenaz comes from the stock of Esau. Kenaz was not what you would call the Israelites. He was an Edomite, and he had a son named Jephunneh, and he had a grandson named Caleb. Now, we don't know the history of how this happened, but somehow Kenaz, he left his family lineage of Esau, and he dwelt amongst the Israelites when they were in Egypt. And he decided to live among them while they were in captivity in Egypt. And he ended up having a son, Jephunneh, and he had a grandson named Caleb. And Caleb is the man that we just read about today. So that's why I said it's not about where you start, but how you finish. Like I said, Esau, he doesn't have the blessing. He doesn't even have the same spirit as Jacob, but his grandson was able to receive a blessing that, he was not, necessarily born to have. But that's why it's like, it's not about where you come from. Like I started the video saying that, some people may not have had the best upbringing, the best parents or even grandparents. Some people may not even know their parents, their father, their mother. But like I said, the Most High has made everyone unique and for their own, unique purpose in his life. So sometimes we may feel like, I don't matter, or I was a mistake or whatever. And it's like the Most High has created you for a reason. And I don't think that anybody was created by accidentally for a mistake. There's a reason that you're here. We just have to show the Most High and ask him questions about what is our purpose here, figure out why we were born here, and then he will be able to use that for his own glory. Just like Caleb, because Caleb just by himself, he wasn't a special man. He wasn't born of any noble birth or anything like that, but he had a special gift of faith and positivity and optimism. He believed. And it's like that faith goes a long way. That keep you alive. That's why I say it's a proverb that says when riches fail, your faithfulness is what will keep you alive. So what that's what really matters. It's about your faith. It's not about what you really have and or about where you come from. And that's why it's only going a little bit of tangent, but a lot of quote unquote Hebrew Israelites, they focus a lot on genealogies. They focus about where someone comes from, but they don't really focus about the heart of this person, what they have inside them. And that's what we have to focus on, about what people have inside their hearts, and not necessarily where their father is from or where their grandfather is from. And then that's how you will, really get to know what people are really about. So, the story of Caleb, very inspirational story. Hope somebody got something out of it.